Antoine, you literally were reading my mind, because right here, number 3 running back in the country, another 4-star running back, Taylor Tatum. This one is a Texas-based recruit. So again, we're talking about expanding and making some headway in places that, other schools like Texas A&M, you would think would be making heavy plays for a player like this, and others in the SEC. But I think it's very possible that he comes to Michigan, and especially because here, unlike when we were talking about wide receiver, here, this is Michigan's strength, right? So it's very hard to convince a 4 or 5-star wide receiver to come to Michigan when you're running a scheme where you're basically handing the rock off many, many times a game. But with a running back, absolutely. I would say the sky's the limit, and Michigan should be trying to get players like this every year, because it's the system that Michigan runs.
Number 3 running back in the country. So that leads us to believe he can go wherever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that there's a elite program out there that's not vying for him. So it's impressive that Michigan's able to forge into the lead, apparently, for him. So I'm sure Texas wants him.
Texas,
and,
yep.
Go right down the line of schools. Again, it's the number 3 running back in the country.
Yeah, and I think Mike Hart leading his recruitment. So it does look like Mike Hart is, which would make, of course, perfect sense. He can speak to not only his experience as a running backs coach, he can speak to his experience as a running back, as a player for the school, when he's having these conversations. And I think that might give Michigan a little bit of a leg up. But yes, geography is also a factor. You've got to look at that. It's the same reason why, even though people are really seeming to think that Jaden Davis might be coming to Michigan, it's something that's given me some pause when there's schools like UNC out there, when there's schools like Clemson out there, and literally all he would have to do is go on a car ride to see his family, instead of a plane. That these things, when you're kind of thinking about the psyche of a player, these things can make the difference.
Yeah. Each player is different in terms of priority list and what's going to move them. But I think the checklist is pretty consistent. They want to win. They want to be developed into an NFL player. And they want to be able to believe that their position coach and their head coach have their back and can be trusted, and that there's good rapport there, and that they've built up a good relationship. And then in addition to that, whatever NIL incentive there could be, again, that's a factor. But again, it's a larger or lesser factor depending on the player.
Right. Yeah. And that's absolutely something that you got to look at, right? Is that there are players being offered, some type of ad deal or sponsorship deal where, they go in and they can make themselves a couple $100,000, which for some of these players, depending on their economic situation, I mean, that can be life-changing money. So it's something to look at for sure. I did want to mention, we've talked a lot about this guy, so I'm going to keep it really, really brief. We do know for a fact now, Jaden Davis is coming to Ann Arbor this Saturday through Sunday. It's an unofficial visit, but you have to think there's going to be a lot of in-person conversations with Kirk Campbell. I think that was kind of one of the missing pieces for him when he was interviewed, that he wanted to have that in-person discussion, and hopefully this does it, along with the conversations I'm sure he's having with JJ, because they're also good friends. So I'm sure he's working as hard as he can as well.